We as a society, I don't think take care of ourselves. Women are even worse because we're taught that we're supposed to take care of everybody else. So our needs come last. So whenever a woman's in a predicament where she has to stop and take care of herself, it's difficult. It is hard. And it is hard for them to ask for help. It's hard for them to accept help. So I love that I can help women in this aspect of their life because it's very intimate work. And it's very emotional work. The whole emotions behind things is what got me into reflexology to begin with.
I'm Kandas Minardi. This is Gratitude Geek, and today I'm joined by Christy Going. She is one of my best friends. She is a reflexologist, a licensed massage therapist, aromatherapist, and half a dozen other things in the holistic wellness space. We had a conversation about a month ago that I felt like we just didn't finish. So we were talking about the last month was October, so I was doing a series on breast cancer, and Christy helps women who have had breast cancer treatment recover after treatment with a specific suite of tools that she uses. And I just felt like we didn't finish covering everything that we need to cover. And one of the reasons why is because I was completely squirreled throughout the whole conversation. I went back and I read the transcript. Oh my God, I was so squirreled. So today, before we get started, I'm actually going to share something that helps me stay focused when I'm doing these interviews because I have ADHD. I don't know if you can tell. You can probably tell. And this tool that I'm about to share helps. And Christy and I work this company together. This is not a sponsored post. I am sharing the tool that I use to keep me focused and on track when I am doing an interview. It is called the Focus Patch. It's by a company called Super Patch. I am an associate with the company, and so is Christy. And I'm going to put it on right now while you're watching so that we can get started on this interview. Today, I am going to wear Liberty. Liberty helps with neurological homeostasis and inflammation. Focus helps with focus. I'm also putting on Peace because my neurologist told me that the headaches that I get every day are tension headaches. Tension is caused by stress. And so Peace helps with stress. So, and it has been helping. I am not getting headaches every day anymore. Last night I had a raging headache. It was so bad and I wasn't wearing a Peace patch. So I put on a Peace patch and about 15 minutes later, it was a lot better. It's not on the package that the Peace patch is for headaches. So I can't say that it cures headaches, but it is on there that helps you deal with stress. And if a tension headache is caused by stress, relieving that stress is a good idea. So let's just put on these patches and start rocking and rolling. All right, Christy, tell the audience what you'd like them to know about you while I patch myself up.
I am Christy Going. I am a licensed massage therapist in Texas. I started my journey as a reflexologist and clinical massage aromatherapist. Once you take that clinical massage aromatherapy training, it just kind of makes sense to go into massage school so that you can do the whole kit and caboodle. So that's what I did. I love what I do. I love helping people. I always have. So this just really kind of cemented things in to where that's what I'm doing for a living. And I love it. I work for myself. So I am mobile. I just love what I do. And yeah, so Candace, I have a friend that uses the Freedom Patch for migraines.
Really?
So yeah, she said it's the only thing that helps her. She has a corn allergy. So you would not believe the number of medications that have corn as the base for the binder. She can't really take anything for the headaches. When I introduced her to the Freedom Patch, she swears by it.
Interesting. Okay, so headaches, there are a lot of different kinds of headaches. Mine is a crown around my head like this, and that is a tension headache. I went to a neurologist because it was every freaking day. And I was like, but I don't have stress. I don't have a stressed life. But then he pushed on my shoulders and I went, ow! And he goes, that's tension.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I guess you're right. There is a link to Christie's Super Patch store in the show notes. And again, this is not a sponsored post. It is I wear them every day. Christy uses them in her practice and she uses them for herself and her family. We love these patches. Drug-free. In the link, you can get all the scoop on how they work. Okay. So I have many, many friends that are nomadic. They have nomadic businesses because they do things that are internet-based. You are a not really nomadic because you don't travel outside of your Houston area for work, but you're kind of nomadic in that you're not in the same place every day. So how do you manage that as a business owner?
So that one takes a lot of time planning, because I have to plan depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing like scar work, I don't have to really take a whole lot. I take one little box. You can't see it on the podcast, but I'm showing Candace the one little box. If I'm doing scar work, that's simple. Urinary incontinence work, same thing. Take the little box. If I'm doing reflexology, I take my chair. So it's minimal setup. If I'm taking the table, that takes a little bit more time to set up. So I just have to adjust accordingly as far as time. See, where I live, so I'm in Northwest Houston. Candace knows from living near Houston that in itself can create its own issues. Sometimes getting places, it may say that something's only 20 miles away, but it may be an hour drive depending on Houston traffic that day. So, but I love what I do. I love being able to go to my clients. I laughed when I was in massage school because it made no sense to me for people to come and get a massage treatment to turn around and go get in Houston traffic. Like that made no sense to me. So I love being mobile because I go into the people's homes. They don't have to go anywhere. And a lot of the work that I do is very non-invasive. So they don't have to disrobe. They don't, with the reflexology work, hands and feet, they don't have to change, do anything. So I love it. But it does create a little bit of challenges because, you have to adjust your time. So you've got to adjust the time for setup. You've got to adjust the time for getting there, adjust the time in between clients if you're seeing multiple clients in a day. So there are some time constraints there that, make it a little bit challenging sometimes.
I just have to make a comment about Houston traffic. So when we had our custom furniture business in New Waverly, Texas, which is 60 miles north of downtown Houston. So 60 miles, you'd think, oh, 60 miles is an hour. So we would get these delivery drivers who'd call us and say, I am in West Houston. According to Google Maps, I'll be there in 90 minutes. And my husband would say, you need to come in the morning because I'm not staying here till 7.
Yep, exactly.
We use a service called, oh, now I can't remember. This was way before the gig economy even had the name gig economy. We used a service where independent delivery companies would schedule U-Ship. It's called U-Ship. So they would do those little pickups along the way. And so that's what we use them because it was a much more intimate delivery. And we were very picky about who we always made sure that they had really good ratings. We didn't just pick anybody to do this because we made high-end furniture. The company's still in existence, but it was just a really smart way for them to make sure that they maximize the income that they made along the route because they could pick up in Louisiana, drop off in New Mexico, may do another drop off in California, pick up on the way back, and then head back to home in Louisiana. But Houston is not like other cities.
Mm-mm.
It is a sprawling metropolis. Anyway, okay. You've made a lot of adjustments and changes and improvements to your business in the last year. So talk about that.
So a big part of that has been training. I've done a lot of more training on lymphatic work and breast health, breast care. What are the statistics, Candace? Because I know you know them.
It's one in
One in
five
four,
women.
1 in 5.
Well, it depends on who's doing the stats. Let's just call it 1 in 5.
Okay. So 1 in 5 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer of some form in their lifetime. I know women that have been diagnosed as early as their mid 30s, all the way up to late 70s. So I have worked with clients who've had mastectomies and radical reconstructions. I've had women who have had minor lumpectomies done. So, and a lot of those women deal with scars and they deal with the emotional side of everything that comes with that type of diagnosis. But I've also worked with women who've had breast reduction surgeries because they've had, their breasts just kept growing. And, you get to a certain point where you're just like, okay, enough is enough. Like, you've got to do something. So I've worked with women that have had breast reduction surgeries. I've had a few clients that have had augmentations and then they've had them removed. So, I've worked with the whole gauntlet and there's a lot of people that don't want to do that work. They just feel like it's more intimate. So it's funny because I go from one extreme to the other, right? I go from the non-invasive reflexology. You only have to take your socks and shoes off, to breast work where somebody's literally has a pillowcase over their breast because I'm working all around them. But it's the work that I feel like needs to be done, and it's, it is self-care. People don't, we as a society, I don't think take care of ourselves. Women are even worse because we're taught that we're supposed to take care of everybody else. So our needs come last. So whenever a woman's in a predicament where she has to stop and take care of herself, it's difficult. It is hard. And it is hard for them to ask for help. It's hard for them to accept help. So I love that I can help women in this aspect of their life because it's very intimate work and it's very emotional work. And that the whole emotions behind things is what got me into reflexology to begin with and led me into this journey.
So what is and I don't think we covered this in the last episode. What is the theory about it's not theory, what's the word I'm looking for?
Metaphysical
No,
emotion.
no, hold on. Okay, what is reflexology? Because there are people who are listening. I didn't know what reflexology was before I met you. So what is reflexology?
So, reflexology is usually on the hands, feet, and ears. It is that the whole body is mapped out in several different parts of our body. And the reflexology, I think we do mention it in in the previous interview, but it's always great to remind people because a lot of people, like you said, don't know. I say reflexology is a massage on steroids because when you get a massage, it's working the integumentary system and the muscular system. When you do reflexology, you're working all of the systems of the body. So there's a specific protocol that I follow according to the school that I went to. And then I go back and I'll work certain areas if I'm drawn to go back to them. People ask me, "Oh, well, can you tell me if there's something wrong?" And I'm like, no. One, I don't diagnose. Two, I can't tell you if there's something wrong. I can just tell you if I'm drawn to go back to an area multiple times. I think the first time I worked on you, it was your kidneys. I asked you, what's going on with your kidneys?
Nothing. I was wrong. So
But,
is it
I
based?
asked
Is
the
it ba-
client one time, what's going on with their uterus? I said, what's going on with this? You're like, are you having some problems? And she's like, no, I really don't think so, but I am scheduled to go to the doctor next week. And I said, okay, well, I've been drawn to go back multiple times. And I didn't say anything about her bladder. And the next month she came to me, she's a monthly client. And she said, you were right. And I said, I was right about what? Like, I don't diagnose. And she said, there was a tumor in my uterus, and I thought that I had a bladder infection because it was hanging like an apple. And depending on how I sat, I had an urge to go to the restroom.
Wow.
So she had a hysterectomy the following month.
Our lady parts down there are so close to each other that
Hmm.
it is really hard to tell what really is wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and we could have a whole conversation about that. If you're watching the video, we just met Nyx, Goddess Nyx, forged from chaos. This kitten literally walked into our house and didn't leave. So obvious, and she has created chaos in the house. So Goddess Nyx is a Greek goddess she's the goddess of the night, and she was forged from chaos. So that name, and she has a little N on her forehead. There's
How
a
funny.
black N. It took us a long time to figure out the name. First of all, when a cat walks into your house and says, "Hello, I'm staying," you don't argue because she literally I'm not kidding you. She walked into our house and said, "Hello, I'm staying." The cat distribution system is accurate because that cat found the house she needed to live in.
It's interesting.
Okay, so reflexology is your foundation. That's where you started, but then you've added things like sound therapy, and then the dolphin MPS, which is what you use for the scar treatment and the incontinence treatment, and you just sort of layer different modalities on top of your base. So talk about that.
So I love to learn different things. Chakra balancing. I was interested in the stones and color therapy and all of these different things even before I went into reflexology. So all of them just kind of work together. I know that sometimes it's hard for people to pinpoint what exactly it is that helped them because of that. Because a lot of times, if you're doing holistic things, you are layering things on top of each other. But like the dolphin does, it's a microcurrent machine and it works on with acupuncture points. It goes along those same meridians. The reflexology, a lot of what I do, Candace, is just so based on the homeostasis. Your body can't heal if you're not resting. You don't lose weight if you're not resting. You don't heal if you're not resting. My first husband, the doctor said, he went in for back surgery and we hadn't seen the doctor in 3 days. And finally, I kind of threw a fit, and the doctor said, well, um, I was told a long time ago by a much older, wiser doctor that if you walk in and a patient's sleeping, you don't wake them up because they're resting, they're healing. So that stuck with me, obviously, because I haven't been married to that man for several years.
At least
1998 to be exact.
that 20 something years. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, so layering things on top of each other just seems to make sense to me. I mean, the lymphatic work along with the breast work, you've got all of this lymphedema that people end up with. And, then whenever you have surgery, you've got drains and you've got all of these different things that just work together. And I love the reflexology because it's a base. I can do pretty much reflexology on anybody.
Yeah.
I used to travel to the medical center to work on a client that had he had a groin hernia that he did not go get taken care of. He fell. They ended up having to take part of his intestine out, and he swears up and down that him and his wife both, that reflexology is actually what saved him because he was not, after 3 days after surgery, still wasn't having a bowel movement. So I mean, and so the reflexology I can pretty much do on anybody. I've gone to the hospital and worked on clients that were having trigeminal nerve issues because it just helps bring the body down and calm. So, whenever you're calmer and you're more relaxed, then your body can heal.
I really wish that more cancers, and I know there are some holistic cancer centers throughout the United States that do this, but I wish that there are more cancer centers that had a reflexology on staff
Mhm.
who would just, because I know that if I'm pushing, and I learned this from a massage therapist who learned oncology massage. But if you do this to your fingertips, right, you push the chemotherapy will gather in the capillaries in your,
Extremities and the very ends.
and it causes neuropathy.
Uh-huh.
But if you do this, it starts to flow, and the nerve. I mean, I just did that right now with these 4 fingers, and I can feel a difference already. And all I did was push my fingers down with my other finger. I don't even know how to explain what I just did, but I can feel a difference in the blood flow. And if a reflexologist was just going around or even a massage therapist was just going around and massaging patients' hands while they were receiving this extremely stressful treatment, it
Mhm.
would be so much. Number one, they would get better results. And number two, they would feel a lot better when they left. I just wish that more cancer centers. Now, my doctor actually, she's all for everything. She doesn't have any problem with me doing any alternative treatments at all. But some doctors are like, that's hocus pocus. It really just depends on who you're going with. But I know that if you take a holistic approach to wellness, you'll have the best results. And some of that is psychological, but I mean, so I was yawning. I was yawning like you wouldn't believe at 5 o'clock. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I kept yawning, and my husband had made a pot of coffee, and I don't normally drink caffeinated coffee after 3 o'clock because I can't sleep, but I'm yawning. And I was like, is that regular or decaf? And he goes, it's half and half. He mixed half and half because he needed the extra caffeine. And I go, well, I'm yawning, and I need to have a cup of coffee. So I poured myself a cup of coffee, and he says to me, sometimes just the thought of drinking the coffee will wake you up. Psychological. I stopped yawning after I took my first sip. That was not the caffeine. That was the psychology.
Yep.
If it works, y'all. Right?
Oh, yeah. I was talking to someone who actually has like a degree in physical therapy or something. I don't remember exactly. And I think she told me like the placebo effect is like 80%. Like if someone just believes that they're going to get better, that it's like 80% chance that they'll get better.
I believe
Just
that.
on the
I believe that. Because the doctor told my mother that she was going to die in a year, and she died in a year because she believed it. I loved my mother, but she believed the doctor. And I don't. I don't believe the stat. I don't even want to know him. I don't want to know what the stats are. Don't tell me how many women have survived this long with my diagnosis. Don't tell me. I don't
Mhm.
want to know because I'm going to live forever.
Well, and then you have people, not knocking anyone who's ever had cancer, but I know family members that have had cancer that they they just want to get to, and it's almost like as soon as they get to that, it's not very long after that, and it's an arbitrary deadline that they put on
Yeah.
themselves. I just want to see my kid graduate. Okay, well,
But you know what? I had those same markers. It
did
was
you?
I did, but I move it. Every time I
Mhm.
achieve it, my first one was I wanted to be there when my daughter graduated from college. And
Okay.
that was so she was in ninth grade when I was first diagnosed. So that was 8 years. And the outcomes, I don't know what they are, but I know that I am an exception to the rule.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, now she's going to go to grad school. Got to be there when she gets to grad school. And now I'm like, I'm going to live forever because there is no reason why I can't. Because
Right.
in the 11 or 12 years that I have been living with this disease, I have seen so much progress in terms of treatment options and even neuroscience. I mean, neuroscience. And Christie's right. The placebo effect, a lot of that is neuroscience. We just don't understand it yet, but we're unlocking and that's what the patches that we both love. Those patches are based on neuroscience. There is a system called the piezo 1 and piezo 2 system in your skin, or it's not in your skin, it's ion channels. Piezo 1 and piezo 2 are ion channels, but the patch touches your skin and the ion channels take the message to your brain. That's neuroscience
Yep.
developed by a neuroscientist. It's crazy. Okay, so we've talked about how you keep layering on top of your services and how you can adapt and change. But this is November. November is a month of Thanksgiving in the United States. A lot of us forget that we should also appreciate ourselves. So, talk about how we can show appreciation and gratitude for ourselves.
Wow. There's so many ways. And we say self care, right? Then a lot of people think that that's selfish. But one way that you can appreciate yourself is you have this amazing tool. I'm sure you still have it on your website, a gratitude journal, and you just say focus on one thing,
hmm
because usually, and
My gratitude journal has 3 lines per day, or maybe 5. It's been a while since I've looked at it. I'm not a journaler, y'all. I created a tool for people that aren't me.
love it. I love it because there was a time where I was having a really hard time finding anything positive, and you had sent it to me. I don't know if you just knew because we're such good friends that I needed something, and I got it in the mail and I just started using it. And it helps so much. But and that's a big thing, right? I mean, what you focus on multiplies.
Yeah.
Another one of those brain things, mindset things, if you're focused on how horrible things are and all the negativity in the world, then you're going to find more and more of it because it's there.
hmm
But if you're focused on that one positive thing, I woke up above ground, you
hmm
know. My dad will tell you that. There's many a days where I've said, "Good morning, how are you today?" And my dad's like, "I woke up above ground."
hmm hmm
So, I mean, if you don't have anything else to be thankful for, start with that one.
I tell this story all the time. I'm sure I've told it to you. I am sure I've said it on this show. There's almost 300 episodes, so I'm sure I've said it at least 100 times on the show. But when I was in my very early 20s, and I have never, ever been a Mary Kay consultant, but when I was in my very early 20s, I saw a documentary about Mary Kay Ash. And it was a documentary. So the camera's following her around, and she walks up to one of the women in the office that works in the office, and she goes, "How you doing today?" And she goes, "I'm just fine." And Mary Kay says, "You are fantastic. When someone asks you how you doing, you say, 'I'm fantastic.' And when someone asks me how I'm doing, since I was in my early 20s, I am now 55 years old, I say, 'I'm fantastic.' Even when I'm not doing fantastic, because it sets your mind frame,
Mhm.
right? And I learned that from Mary Kay Ash in a documentary when I was in my early 20s. So 30 years ago. For 30 years, I've been saying I'm fantastic.
Awesome.
I'm,
But
and you,
another thing
but
you can do is just go for a walk. Okay. And when I say go for a walk, like it can be to the mailbox. My mom was recently in the emergency room and everything's fine. She's perfectly fine. But everybody that walked in that room said something to her about exercise. And so finally, the last nurse said, "Miss Going, how far is your mailbox from your front door? And she said, it's not very, I mean, now we live on a half acre lot, so it is a little bit farther than most people, or somebody who can just drive up to a multiple box. But the lady said, just walk to your mailbox. Just go check the mail. Tell your husband to quit checking the mail for you and you go check the mail every day. Exercise. Oh my goodness. I don't even know. I don't know. There's something about endorphins and all of these different chemicals that exercise produces. And I'm going to be full disclosure this morning. This is being recorded a little bit before it's going to be released, but it's right after the 30-day challenge ended with
Super Patch.
Super
Yeah.
Patch.
The challenge, we were recording this in September. Y'all, I have that many interviews recorded already. So we were recording this in September. Yesterday, so September 18th was yesterday. It was the last day of a 30-day squats and sit-ups challenge.
Okay.
That we both participated in. Okay.
Yes. So Monday, I had a doctor's appointment. Hadn't been for an annual checkup in a couple of years. My A1C 2 years ago was 5.7. My A1C this time, 2 years later, is 6.0. So I said, okay, it's time to do something about this weight that I'm carrying around, blah, blah, blah. So I talked to my daughter. My daughter goes start school. She's a senior in high school. She starts school at 7:20 in the morning. But our Planet Fitness in town is open 5 days a week, 24 hours. So I asked her, if you want to do this. Well, then I start doing the calculation and I'm like, oh my God, what time am I going to have to get up in the morning for us to go to the gym? Because my daughter she's a primper. For those of you who are listening, you do not see that I do not wear makeup. I have never been a primper. My friends in school used to get mad at me because my hair is up and there's no makeup. I have showered because but what I'm getting at is I signed up for a gym membership yesterday because at first I said, oh no, I'm not getting up that early in the morning. And then I thought, that's stupid. I'm not prioritizing myself. And I thought, this is September. I've got 8 months with my daughter. So I thought 2 to 3 days a week going to the gym. That's 2 to 3 days a week that I get to spend with my daughter. So we got up at 4 o'clock this morning and went to the gym and we worked out for an hour and then went and took our showers and got ready and I took her to school this morning. So self-care, y'all, and be grateful. Like I said, for the moments, I really I was like, I am not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do this. Candace knows I am a night owl. So I put my mindset a long time ago. My son is 22. My son will be 22 on tomorrow. And I always, after I put him to bed, that was when I did my schoolwork to finish my associate's degree. That's when I did my, any kind of jewelry making, anything I was doing for me, I did it after my kids were in bed. So for me now to try and convince myself that I need to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night so that I can get some kind of decent hours of sleep, I'm going to admit that's probably not going to be so easy, but it will be a whole lot easier after getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
So it's 24 hours. Why can't you go at night? Because that's what I would do.
Because my daughter goes to bed at like 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
And so it's
She's
going
not a
to
night
be
owl,
easier for us to have the routine of doing it in the morning. Plus, I have clients that I see at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening sometimes.
And so you've had
by the
long day,
time
yeah.
I get home and do all of that, I'm not going to want to go out again. So
how did you do with the squats and sit-ups challenge? Did you make it to every day, all 30 days?
I think there were about 3 days. 3 or 4 days that I didn't do them. The first time I really I didn't want to post it. And then actually, I think I went back last night, because I was making sure that I wasn't repeating music that I'd already just done in the last few days on my reel. And literally, I think I said self-care in its finest, not beating yourself up when you don't do something you committed to doing. Because,
that's important.
Sometimes you just have to say, no more, I'm going to bed.
Yep. And there are days that I did the squats and the sit-ups at 10:30 at night, and I posted at 10:30 at night. It was most of the time. And I didn't do fancy reels. All I could commit to was taking a snapshot of the so the 30-day challenge, part of the 30-day challenge, if we wanted to get the t-shirt from the challenge, is that we had to post to Instagram every day. So I couldn't. I mean, I did like 3 or 4 reels throughout the whole month, but most of the days I just did a photo. And some days I added a sticker to the photo, but most days it was just a photo because that's all I could do, right? But
Mhm.
I only missed one day of the challenge because I fell asleep and I didn't remember. And then there were a couple days where I could only do 10 because that's all I could do that day.
Mhm.
And but on the final day of the challenge, I wanted to push myself to see how far I could go. I started with 10. On day 1, I did 10 each, and on day 30, I did 35 of each. And
That's awesome.
I probably could have done more than 35 of each, but I was like, I don't wanna wake up tomorrow with my ass hurting.
Our numbers were pretty close then, because
Yeah.
I know, and I was very vulnerable in my posts that I posted yesterday. I posted because I literally cried. Day 1, I cried because Super Patch they were nice enough to post these videos and to show you, like, how to do a modified version. Candace, I couldn't even do a modified.
A
Like,
modified
I
setup.
was, like, physically do some of the modifications on day 1. And then finally, I went back and I watched them and I was like, okay, you can do this. And just over time, it just got easier and easier and easier to do. And I did the same thing last night. I was like, okay, on day 30, you're going to do as many as you can do. And I did 35 squats and 30 sit ups.
And I can't do a regular sit-up, so I did standing sit-ups,
Hmm.
where the
I did
knee.
too.
However, I have spinal degeneration, so if I do it too hard,
Hmm.
I feel it in my spine, and so I mean, it's just trying all these modifications. All that mattered was that we were moving. We did something we didn't do before, and if I can do this for 30 days, the sit-ups were really difficult for me because they was so hard for me to find one that didn't hurt, right? That I couldn't feel finding. So I'm gonna have to figure something out for core work, which I'm sure that I'll figure that out. But I can keep doing the squats,
That's good.
I can, I mean, because it's not hard. I do the Pomodoro, when I'm working, I do 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes of walking away, come back, do 25 minutes more work. Now 5 minutes that we're gone, that I'm away from the computer, I can do 10 squats and go to the bathroom and grab a drink of water and come back to work, right? You can fit 10 into your day.
Hmm.
So so yeah, I mean that.
Water. That's another thing. Drink water. Like, hydrate, electrolytes. A lot of times people are, we think we're hungry and we're not. We're thirsty.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can tell when you haven't had enough water to drink because your urine smells. If your urine smells, you haven't had enough water to drink. Something that I learned many, many years ago is that if you get Himalayan salt, pink Himalayan salt, and you take one little salt rock and you put it in your water, you don't need to buy electrolytes because all the electrolytes you need are in that salt.
Yep.
And it's then you don't have the artificial sweetener or any of that. So, and also lemon, put a little lemon juice in there. Even if yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to your water to make it better. If it tastes funny, and this is going to sound weird, but if your water doesn't have a good taste because your tap water is, I don't know, put a little pinch of baking soda in the water and it lowers the pH and the water tastes better. you know, there's so many
It's
things.
funny you said all of that because my boyfriend he had sent me a video about water. And this particular guy says that we're overhydrated without enough minerals.
Okay, that makes sense.
So my boyfriend started making this water and he does a tiny bit of baking soda, a tiny bit of, now he does do a tiny bit of brown sugar and then salt and then lime juice. And then he fills the bottle up with water and it almost tastes like coconut water.
Interesting.
It's really close to coconut water. Yeah.
Interesting. But you can add a little bit of coconut water to your regular water will also add some mineral content to it. I mean, there's things that you can do to make your water taste better and make it more fun without adding calories. So, and all these things sound weird, but I promise you, just a pinch of baking soda does not make the water taste weird. And it lowers the pH. And when you lower the pH of your body, that's really healthy. But do your own research on that. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a health professional. Wow. We've covered, I really want, in this conversation today, I wanted to make sure that we covered all the things that we didn't get to talk about last time. And I also wanted to make sure that we talked about being grateful to ourselves because, if you don't want to call it self-care because you don't like the buzzword self-care and you think it's, phooey, just say, I'm grateful to myself. Because remember Snoop Dogg? I wonder if I can find a clip of Snoop, like a GIF or a GIF of Snoop Dogg thanking himself at the Academy Award, or not the Academy, but the what is it? Music Awards? He thanked himself at some music awards ceremony, and he said, "I'd like
Grammys?
to thank myself." It might have been the Grammys. I want to thank myself. That is if you don't take anything else away from this conversation today, look in the mirror and say, "I want to thank myself," and say it as many times as possible, because the only reason you are where you are today is because of you. Everything good that's ever happened in your life happened because of you. So thank yourself. Thank yourself. All right. Is there anything that we didn't get to talk about today that you're just dying to share, Christy?
I don't think so.
So links to everything we chatted about today are in the show notes. This is episode 297. That's it for today. Christy Going, this is your moment of gratitude. I know we did this before, but in this moment today, for whom or what are you most grateful?
My parents. Without them, I wouldn't be here.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for female solopreneurs over 40, building genuine, lasting connection with clients, colleagues, and community. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. I've been your host, Candace Rodarty. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.